All right, shelf expansion day in the laundry room. We've done a couple of, we'll say, alternate and interesting things, like paint this door with magnetic paint. The kids are a little older and probably outgrown most of that wall, but that's okay. We're not here for that. We're here for these shelves. So these shelves we put in a couple years ago. We did sort of this industrial thing up in here. I'll have to go up in the attic and show you kind of how we mounted this. But basically up on top of the rafters, I put a 2x4 across and then mounted bolts and stuff up there. This is the top of the shelving units. You can see that what I did was, here's the rafter right here. I went from this rafter, that one, and I put a couple of blocks here to sit on top of the wall. There's another 2x4 under there that these rafters sit on. And then I've got these nuts and washers, and this goes all the way through the ceiling and down into that pantry in there. This is a metal lock washer with kind of a flange on it, and it's like crimped or pinched. So anyway, so it's meant to, stay on there. I've got a few threads right there sticking up through. Probably can't see it, but all three of those jokers through this 2x4 that's sitting on there. Anyway, that's how I got this thing supported down into the. I mean, this wouldn't have been possible if I didn't have access up in the attic, above that laundry room in order to do this. So, and then we use these big washers for all these. And built these shelves with these little lips, keep stuff falling off, but that limits your space here. And then we decided to put, I say we, the brains of the family, put these letters on front of the shelves. I think they're like 4 feet long, about 6 inches wide. But we're going to add another shelf. Now, apparently one of our letters is already fallen out. That's a bummer. We can fix that after we hang it. Down here at the bottom, I have a bracket we never painted to hold it to the wall to keep it from pulling out and letting stuff fall behind a shelf. As you can see, we've kind of run out of space on these shelves. So yeah, we're out of space on these shelves, and then we have weird stuff like this going on where these boxes are falling off. That one's kind of an interesting catch there. We have to do it all over again. Ask your question again.
So, beams that go on the wall are called studs. What are they called when they go on the rafters?
They're called rafters.
Yeah.
Yes, the ones in the ceiling were the rafters. And yes, these are put on the rafters. There's a cross beam that goes across the top of it, and it supports the weight on these 8-foot pieces of all thread. Mm-hmm. And the ceilings are about 8 feet high, right?
Yep.
So you can see that these all threads are 9 inches or so off the ground. And so today, when we originally put these in, we set about 4 shelves, but we didn't know how high we could stack stuff and how much space we would have in between them. And so the challenge was, what would we be able to do? Well, we put them on there. We've obviously run out of space. They're all full, right? So the next thing to do is, and I'm not going to raise them and do one of those. I'm going to leave that to your mom. She'll probably also rearrange all of the stuff once she has extra space, right? Mm-hmm. So we built an extra shelf. We built a 5th one because we kind of figured out how high stuff can stack. Well, here, grab this shelf.
Did you build this today?
No, I built the shelf a while back, and then Colonel Random put the letters on it. One of them already fell out, but that's all right. But we accidentally, and I think it's a happy accident, that's the way the shelf was designed to go up there, right? With a lip right here to keep stuff from falling off.
But
and
you
then,
built it in a way where...
I built it, but then the letters were put on, quote, upside down, which just means we're going to hang this shelf upside down. But that's okay. It's going to go in the very bottom, and then you see these right here?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to set directly on top of those. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things we have to do is drill the holes in it. So we're going to paint the bottom bracket. So we have to loosen the nuts, take them out. Then we have to loosen the screws from the wall, pull that bracket out carefully without dumping all of our shelf contents. And we'll paint it. We'll drill holes in that shelf, and we'll put it all back together.
And this bracket just keeps these from swinging?
Yes, it keeps them from swinging away from the wall so that the stuff doesn't fall off the back of the shelves.
Yeah.
Yep, pretty much. Pretty much that's it. I mean, you can see the wall's not flat, so you can see gaps underneath the shelves. Shelves touch in certain spots or not. Like this whole shelf is away from the wall, and then that shelf up there touches at this end and doesn't touch at the other end. And I don't know what the other shelf statuses are, but it's good enough, right? It keeps it like it'll shake a little bit.
It's a shelf.
But it's a shelf, and it holds the weight up and down. So the all thread supports the weight all the way up on top of those rafters. So that's it. What other questions do you have?
None. That was just where these the all thread was being.
What was holding the all thread up? Yeah. How was that? It's levitating. I've figured out anti-gravity, and I've just made it levitate. Carefully. There we go. There's wing nuts under these as well. I'm going to spare you the time it takes to take the wing nuts off of all of those. So no need to bore you with me taking wing nuts off of 8-foot long all thread. There you go, wing nut. I have all the nuts out, I have all the screws out, and now I need to slide this off carefully. I'm probably going to need 2 hands, maybe. So yeah, 2 hands it is. There we go, got it out. So now, don't touch anything, don't breathe. Nothing falls off the shelf. We'll go put some paint on that. I think we're using a semi-gloss, same kind of stuff that you'd use on baseboards and trim around the door and whatever. Well, nothing fancy here. We just did a little, Kentucky windage eyeball aligned to that. And then we're just gonna mark. Doesn't even have to be a good mark. I've clamped the shelf to a sacrificial board, clamped it down tight. Hopefully that prevents some of the blowout that may occur. Moment of truth, the big reveal. Oh yeah, that's nice. That'll work. My holes are off slightly, but that's okay. I'm gonna clamp it down now that I got them drilled and bore them out a little bit bigger. First coat of paint. Alright, I don't have to paint the whole thing because if I paint the back, it may stick. And I've already got some here, whatever. You can see it actually already stuck a little bit, whatever. And same thing here, I don't have to paint this. I don't know that I mentioned before, but this is made out of poplar wood. So all of the shelves were made out of this type of wood. It's not super expensive. I knew I was going to paint it, so I didn't need to make it out of oak or anything fancy like that. But this goes on the wall this way. And so really I need to paint the stuff that's going to be mostly visible. Now, I mean, with a shelf on top of this, it's a little argument can be made that most of it wouldn't be visible, but for the sake of, I'm a perfectionist, I'm going to go ahead and paint it again. So anyway, I'll put a second coat on here in just a minute. One of the things I had to solve for when hanging these shelves was that they would wobble, and so I have to put a nut and a washer on top, as well as the washer and the wing nut on the bottom. Obviously, this one holds the weight up, and then this one pinned down causes the shelf to not be able to wobble. With the wobble in mind, we have to put some nuts and washers on the all thread first. This can be kind of a pain because of the all thread. I didn't show how we originally put the wing nuts and stuff on here, but we did what you're not supposed to do, and we used air. We used an air hose and we blew on it and spun the nut. Yeah, that takes a while. So again, I'm not going to bore you with my installing the nuts on these. We'll just fast forward past that. Got the new shelf on. Between the three rods, there's enough tension in the holes to help keep that up and out of the way while I put this bottom support back in. The biggest trick is going to be getting these holes lined back up. That's a wrap, folks. I got the new shelf in there. I got the brace painted. These nuts right here are to keep the sharp edges of the all thread from cutting anyone. I got everything buttoned up. Got my finger over the camera. These nuts are tight, and these shelves don't get, I mean, they move a little because the rod flexes or whatever. But anyway, I'm happy with that. And now I leave it to the masters to decide how they're going to rearrange. They're going to move these shelves. I'm sure they're going to adjust some up and whatever, make some more space here to put whatever. Not my realm, or it's out of my control. I've done the parts that I get the say so in, and now I'm going to let the people that have the vested interest make the decision on how high they're going to move all of these shelves and what the spacing is going to be, etc.